everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing very well. In today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to make this summery water bottle holder. Okay, so here is the yarn that I'm using today. I'm using a brown yarn. This is from Woolcraft. It's the new fashion double knit yarn and it's in the colour chocolate. And this yarn I just got from a charity shop, so I'm not sure of the brand, but it's just a cream yarn and it's ever so slightly thinner than the double knit, so I'm going to predict that it's probably a sport yarn, but any double knit yarn will work. Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much because these aren't that different in thickness. So yeah, these are two yarns that I'm using. For the hook I am using a 3.5mm hook. You'll also need some scissors and you'll also need a sewing needle. This is optional, but you may also want to use a stitch marker to make sure that you're slip stitching into the correct spot after each round. So for the first part of this tutorial I'm going to be working on the base of the bottle. So I'm going to start with, you can start with any colour you want. I'm going to start with my cream colour. So starting with the cream yarn, I'm going to make a magic ring. So I'm going to take my two fingers and I'm going to lay the yarn over the two fingers. I'm going to wrap it round like this, and then I'm going to cross it over. So I'm holding the short tail with my thumb, and then I am grabbing the long piece with my pinky, like that, just to hold everything in place. So this is what it should be looking like. And then with your hook, you're going to insert the hook under the top left loop, like that. And then you're going to grab the top right loop, or the right loop. And you're going to twist it as you pull it up. So I'll do that again. Under the first loop, turn the hook and grab the second and pull it up, and then you're going to turn the hook to make a twist. So that's what it should be looking like. And then you're going to basically make a chain one with this long tail that you've been holding with your pinky. Chain one and pull that through the loop, and you can just drop everything and then you have your magic ring. So we've already done a chain one for the first part, so we're going to chain another, and that'll be our chain two. And we're going to basically ignore this chain two now, and we're going to make 10 double crochets into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's the 10 double crochets. I'm now going to pull the ring like that closed, and I'm going to slip stitch not into the chain two. I'm going to completely ignore the chain two. I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet that we made, and that will close the circle like that. For round two, that was the end of round one. For round two, we're going to chain two, and like I said, we're going to completely ignore all of the chain two that we make throughout this pattern. So in the same spot, I'm going to make 2 double crochet. Like that. And then I'm going to make 2 double crochet into each stitch around. But before I do that, I thought I'd show you, if you are going to use a stitch marker for this, then you're going to want to place your stitch marker into the first double crochet you made. So ignoring the chain two, here is the first double crochet. So that is where you would be placing your stitch marker if you are using one. So into each stitch I'm going to make 2 double crochet. So now you've reached the end of your round. Again, you're going to completely ignore the chain two, and you're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet. Don't mind these tails I have at the back. I had to cut the yarn and re-add it because there was like a really botched section of it. Okay, so for round 3 we're going to chain 2 again, and for this round I'm just going to weave in these ends as I go. for this round I'm going to be only doing 1 double crochet in the first stitch and 2 double crochets in the second stitch. So you have your chain 2 and you're just going to ignore it now for the rest of the round and treat the first stitch as if it's the first thing you've done in the round. So 1 double crochet. It might look like there's 2, but it is 1, because in the previous round you see we did 2, we're only doing 1. In the second stitch, 2 double crochet. Okay, in the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and in the next stitch, 2 double crochet. So I'm going to repeat this now all the way around, 1 in the next stitch and 2 in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch and then 2 in the next stitch, all the way around. So I'll meet you back once I finish that. So for round 3 I'm going to do a chain 2 again, and then I'm going to make a double crochet into the first stitch, a double crochet into the second stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the third stitch. That's the first, that's the second, and then 2 in the third. Okay, so 1, 1 and 2. So I'm going to repeat this now all the way around, and then I'll meet you back once I've reached the last stitch. So I've just reached the end of round 4, and to end the round we're going to do something a little bit differently. So I'm going to insert the hook into the first double crochet of the round, but I'm not going to slip stitch yet. I'm just going to drop the yarn and I'm going to grab my new colour, which is the brown, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to finish the slip stitch with the brown. So I'm just going to drop the cream and I'm going to attach the brown to the hook, and I'm just going to slide the brown yarn through both loops like that, because we're going to start our next round with the brown. So for the next round it's going to be a double crochet in each stitch, so there's no increases, but we're going to be doing it into the back loop only. So I'm going to chain 2 as normal. I'm going to weave in the cream for a bit before I cut it, so weaving in both these tails as I go, and I'm going to double crochet into the back loop of that first stitch, so it's this one right here, right there, double crochet, then into the back loop of each stitch around, so it's just 1 in each. Okay, so I've just reached the end of this round, and basically what this has done is, because we've double crocheted in the back loop, it's created like a little dish kind of thing, so that now we can crochet straight up. So we have our base, and then we've like made sure that now all the rows will be going up so that it can fit around the water bottle. So at the end of this round we're going to just slip stitch into the first double crochet as normal, and then I'm going to do another row of this, but not in the back loop, just a normal double crochet. So chain 2, double crochet into the same spot, and then double crochet into each stitch around. And then once you have done 1 double crochet into each stitch, you're going to want to slip stitch with your other colour. So I will meet you back when I have done 1 double crochet into each stitch, and then we will slip stitch together. Okay, so I've just finished my last double crochet, and now I'm going to insert the hook into the first double crochet, and I'm going to drop the brown yarn, and I'm going to attach my cream colour to the hook, and I'm going to slip stitch through both loops on the hook, and that is the end of your first stripe block. So each stripe consists of 2 rows of double crochet, and after your second row of double crochet at the end you will always want to slip stitch with your new colour. So I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to double crochet into each stitch as I normally would, and I'm going to do this for 2 rounds, and then once I reach the end of my second round I'm going to slip stitch with my brown, and then you want to repeat this until you have 5 blocks of brown and 5 blocks of cream. So I will come back once I have done my 5 blocks and my 5 blocks of cream as well. I've just finished the last row of double crochet and I've ended on a cream row, and I've just slip stitched into that first double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off. And now we will be working on the ruffles, and as you can see on either side of the ruffles I did the bag strap, and I allowed about 4 stitches for the bag strap. So I'm just going to mark with some stitch markers, so on the side here, so if you lay it flat and then look on the side and just allocate 4 stitches. So I'm going to put 1 here in the first stitch, and then I'm going to put another stitch marker in the 4th stitch, so 1 2 3 4, this one here. Then I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. So this is where your bag strap is going to be, and then around the outside you're going to have the ruffles. Okay, and I'm going to make a slip knot. Okay, and as you can see here, where I fastened off, I've got a stitch before that. That's just where I'm going to start my first ruffle. So I'm going to join the brown yarn here, and join 1 to touch it, like that. So each ruffle will take up 2 stitches. So the first ruffle is a single crochet, a half double crochet and a double crochet, and then in the next stitch you basically reverse that, so you do a double crochet, a half double crochet and then a single crochet, and then you just want to slip stitch into the next stitch across. So I'm going to single crochet, half double crochet and a double crochet, all in that same stitch, and then in the next stitch I'm going to do a double crochet, a half double crochet and then a single crochet, and then I'm going to just slip stitch into the next stitch to kind of round that off, and then you have the first ruffle. Okay, and then into the next stitch I'm basically just going to repeat this, so single crochet, half double crochet and double crochet. Just going to weave in these ends, single crochet, half double crochet and a double crochet, and then into the next stitch a double crochet, a half double crochet and a single crochet, and then I'm just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So it's technically, each ruffle is technically taking up 3 spaces, 1 for the first half of your ruffle, 1 for the second half, and then a slip stitch into the next stitch. So it's 2 for the actual ruffle and then a slip stitch into the next stitch. So into the next stitch a single crochet, a half double crochet and a double crochet, and then in the next stitch double crochet, half double crochet and a single crochet, and then slip stitch into the next stitch. So I'm going to continue this round until I reach just before my stitch marker, and then I'm going to fasten off. So I will meet you back when I have reached the end. So I just thought I'd show you what you can do if you do your last frill and you end up with 2 stitches left. So I've just done my second half of the frill, which was the double crochet, half double crochet and single crochet. So at this point we would normally slip stitch into the next stitch, but then I'm left with 1 left, and then I've reached my stitch marker anyway, so there's no point in doing another ruffle here. It's going to look too messy. So what I do here, if this happens, is I just skip the next stitch and I just slip stitch into the last stitch, and then you still get that like neat edge of the ruffle, and then you can just fasten off here like that. So I'm just going to repeat this now on the opposite side. I'm going to start at one end of the stitch marker. For me it's going to be, I'm just going to basically continue round anti-clockwise because I'm left-handed obviously. So yeah, I'm just going to continue the same process and then fasten off at the end, and obviously if I do reach the point at the end where I've got a stitch, an extra stitch left, then I'm just going to skip the last stitch and slip stitch into the following stitch. So I hope that makes sense, and I will come back when the other ruffles are all finished. So I've just done the other side of my ruffles, and now I'm just going to weave in the ends. I'm just going to sew them in, and I'm not really doing like anything too special. I'm just going to go backwards and forwards underneath these ruffles on the inside of the water bottle bag. Okay, so we're now going to work on the bag strap. So you could just start at either end of where your stitch markers sit, and I'm going to be starting into the second stitch away from the first stitch marker, so it's the second of the 4 stitches. I'm just going to insert my hook there to mark it, and then with my brown slip knot I'm going to put this on and chain 1. Now I'm going to make a chain of 140, and then once I have done the chain of 140 I'm going to slip stitch into the corresponding stitch on the other side, so it will be this second stitch from the yellow stitch marker. So I've just made my chain and I've slip stitched into that second spot on the opposite side, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the next spot like that. Okay, and now we are ready to start the bag strap properly. So we're going to be making a double crochet into each chain across, and if you were wondering which chain to start in, you're not starting in any of the slip stitches, you're just starting in that first chain. So I'm just going to yarn over and make that double crochet into the first chain, and then 1 double crochet into each chain across. Like that, and then I'm going to continue this all the way across, and then I will meet you back once I reach the end and I will show you the next step. So I've just finished my first row of double crochet, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the same spot as the first chain we made, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch like that. I'm now going to turn the work, and I'm going to be making 1 double crochet all the way to the end, and then once I reach the end I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and I'm also going to slip stitch into the next stitch after that, but I will come back when I've slip stitched only into the first one because it's slightly different for this slip stitch. So I've just finished my second row of double crochet and I've slip stitched into the same spot, and now I'm going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch, but I'm going to be switching to my cream colour. So I'm just going to insert the hook into the next stitch, but I'm going to drop the brown yarn and I'm going to make a slip knot with my cream, and then attach it to the hook and draw through both loops on the hook like that, and then I'm going to turn the work and I'm going to make a single crochet across the row, and then when I get to the other end of my bag strap I'm going to slip stitch into the very last stitch. I am going to weave in these ends as I go, so I'm going to make a single crochet. Once I've done a few stitches I am going to cut the brown yarn. so I've just finished the single crochet row on this side, and then I just slip stitched into where that green stitch marker was, and then I fastened off. And now we're going to do the same on this side. So I'm just going to insert the hook into where that pink stitch marker is, and I'm going to make a slip knot with the cream and attach it to the hook and then pull through. Okay, so I'm now going to make a single crochet into each stitch across, just like we did at the previous row, and then I'm going to, once I get to the end, I'm going to slip stitch into the green, the pink stitch marker. Okay, so I've just finished the last row of single crochet, and then I just slip stitched back into the last stitch, and then I chained 2 and cut the yarn to fasten off. And now I'm just going to weave in these ends with my sewing needle, and then we're all done. So here is the final result. This is a really easy project to do, especially if you're kind of new to working in the round. This is a really great way to practice your stitches when you're working in the round. So yeah, I will show you how it looks with the water bottle. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up, and if you have any ideas of what you'd like me to make next, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.